All right, y'all. Today we are here for part 3 of 4 of the Destiny Swapping. Um, that is today's topic. But I'm here to Karmic Dynasty. Glad you all are here to review and break down the docu series Nature Boy cult series on Disney, Hulu, ABC News Studios. Today I have here with me Ramutef the astronomical expert, astrology expert if he want to be today. Whatever he want to be today, that's who he is around here. These parts, that's what he do. Um, and also per the description, read the description below. We are expecting Elmore, the Universal Humanitarian. I'm excited to be here again on the Astro View World with Ramutef Queb and Elmore if he'll join us. And again, I'm returning from a 2-year hiatus, so I'm excited. And at this time, before we get started, if Ramutef Queb would introduce himself to those that don't know, and those of you who know, you know.
Peace, peace, peace. Panatapama, Unkwasi Jen, Projection Nev, Ubin, Nephi K, Panabu, Haruma Ati, Anuk Ramatef Kweb, I'm Ramatef Kweb. It's great to be back on Karmic Dynasty. It's been a long time. It's great to be back on here. But for those who don't know, you can follow me on Facebook as Ramatef Kweb. You can find me on Instagram as Ramatef_Kweb. You can also find me on TikTok as Ramatef Kweb or Naga9 Juna, however you want to put it. But yeah, today, y'all, we're about to talk about something that most people are kind of afraid of when they hear the word destiny swapping. But I got introduced to this interesting layout when it comes to this series, even though I didn't watch it myself, to be honest, because I have had my dealings with this individual way back in the days, as far as like when it comes to the social media presence. But as far as that goes, I appreciate you.
Definitely, definitely. So, are you sharing your experience with the audience today, or we just going to those
No, I
Destiny
can.
swap?
No,
Hmm?
I can. No, I said I can.
Okay,
It's like
I
most
share
people.
mine on part 1. We listening.
Okay. Yeah, like for me, it was just more so getting into the introduction to a lot of the individuals that have been online and doing, the so-called, conscious movement leaders and protagonists to other people's lifestyles when it comes to certain entry points. This was like years ago, but like for me, if most who know me, I come from a temple called Tesha Para. And when I joined Tesha Para, that was literally 10 years ago. So when it comes to the dealing with this person, this was basically while I was in my second year in the temple, as well as the second stages of what they call awakening. As far as listening to this individual, like my main introduction was from a lot of the bashing of the what they call the debating conscious world with the whole Sinetta thing and all this other known and unknown factors when it comes to the YouTube or social media realm. And my introduction to this individual was through watching some call debate between this individual and a couple other people. And most people who know about that particular realm, you already know how there's like, these stages of certain people coming up into the world of being a so-called face for the conscious community or the black conscious community or however people want to put it, the melanated, however you want to put it. And in this particular realm, you know, I've noticed that what he was sprouting out was primarily just stuff that's from the Kabbalion. And one thing that I learned about the years of just seeing or just unwantingly knowing about this person, it's always dealing with the Kabbalion. Kabbalion this, Kabbalion that, the laws this, the law that, all this other dumb shit. And then when it comes to the certain people that I got in contact with these certain group of females, and what they explained to me about their dealings when it comes to being a part of the venture that people are starting to find out through this documentation, or just those who are actually about it or who were there actually. A lot of the people that we, myself, have gotten in contact with, we went on a couple of rescue missions when it comes to, putting our funds together to get certain people out of from this particular known unknown location. But as far as myself, my dealings with him was more so in a more social media on Instagram type of ordeal. And you can understand when you start to deal with people with that type of mindset, no matter what type of information you give them, they're going to still see themselves as above that because they have a base rule. And like I was saying earlier, his base rule was dealing with the Kabbalah. But as far as my rest of my story, I really didn't involve myself besides when, putting funds together to help certain men and women to get away from that situation. But as far as that, that's all I can tell you about my side of it.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna talk about the topic destiny swapping. Would you now how we came about this topic? So through for this cult series review and breakdown. Now on part one and two, I mentioned and or one of my panelists mentioned Nature Boy Eligio Bishop of Carbonation using birth charts to vet people as a vetting system to join him in whichever location he was at, or that it was a method. Um, and the term destiny swapping came up. Ramutef, would you talk to us about what destiny swapping is and also how birth charts are involved in this destiny swapping? What's the involvement? How do they? What's it mean? What's that?
All right. So in the realm of astrology, and then there's the realm of just people knowing about destiny swapping. So I'll just stick with the first part, and we'll start to continue in. So when people hear the term destiny swapping, they have, from my account, there's three different ways of looking at it. You have just the word itself, you have the conspiracy aspect from it, and then you have the astrological aspect from it. Now, with the destiny swapping, is just in simple, plain terms. People understand the term destiny, their fate, things of that nature, and it being swapped out for something else. That's just like a simple form. And the conspiracy theory aspect is basically saying that, oh, if someone gets your astrological information, or if they get any type of information, they can easily, do certain type of hoodoo voodoo to you, and that can switch out your destiny, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have the astrological setup. So the astrological is more of the realistic version and not step two that I explained. So step three, or the third version of destiny swapping, is understanding the difference between these different systems that we call astrology. Most people are not aware that in this realm that we call astrology, there is a first, because that's the second. You have the first, which is astronomy. You have the second, which is astrology. To explain that, astronomy is basically the visualization of what we see from our heliocentric or geocentric point of view of what we see in the sky at night or day or weather or through the aspects of nature. Astrology is just the interpretation of what we see in the zone of astronomy. So now when we go into destiny swapping, when we go into that realm, astronomy is going to always stay what it is. Now, astrology is what changes it. And then most people who know about me, I definitely don't condone the Western narrative or anything that deals with the 12 sign narrative of astrology, because that itself is destiny swapping. And from hearing about this tool that was being used when people were being basically vented in their societies, and they're using astrology. The best, the one thing I know for sure is that in that same sense, just me saying about Western astrology being a form of destiny swapping, with a person using that as a tool to convert people into a system, they're using it to the highest degree, using Western astrology for that matter to the highest degree for a person to be converted and have their own journey taken away from them. And there's a lot of people who come into the mindset of they have a what they call a mental breakdown or mental psychosis when they go into the form of what they call awakening. And it's just more so just becoming more aware and understanding that a lot of things that you thought were real or never the case, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm gonna end it right there because I see you got a lot of images up there.
Yeah, it was a little bit more images than what I'm used to, and I was scrolling past a lot. But at the same time, chilling with the images because my audience can be vast, so just accommodate who I can. But I'm used to like images. Those mostly were thumbnails to other broadcasts, and I don't have time for none of that. But this is more of what I was looking for.
Mhm,
So, yeah. Um, Now, right quick,
mhm,
when you were talking about you, as I mentioned, so you were speaking as well on using, um, you were elaborating on me speaking on using birth charts to vet people in. Now, I know for that's a system I've used on, well, for my platform in
mhm,
whatever field it was in, whichever branch of my platform it was for. And I've had you on board to help me with that, to
mhm,
guide me with the use of the birth chart, or sometime it would stop at the sign, their astrological sign.
mhm,
For me, um, I maybe sadly would cut you off like, oh, that sign, I'm not doing it, and then you
mhm,
but those when I would listen, you would elaborate and give me more information, and then I would use that as guidance to help me, um, like for my tours. And
mhm,
certain people, it's so much I want to say. I'm making notes as I go. So on my tour, for example, people sometimes I would rent an Airbnb for my stay. And in an Airbnb, there may be 4 extra bedrooms. Well, I know some people, I met them in person, but I only met them briefly. Some people, um, I'm real close to them just through the internet, social media. We might see each other on screen, and but we never met in person. But we real tight on screen. We real tight on the other side of this computer through the
mhm,
computer, our devices, etc. Y'all know where I'm at. If not, then not. Okay. Anyway, so I would use the system into my advantage to know the people to have stay in that Airbnb with me for real. It was part of that procedure of elimination and or acceptance. Um, and it worked out. It's worked out well so far. Now, what's crazy is those people that I would let stay in the Airbnb with me for 2 days are the same people, though. Some of them, most of them, I don't get along with them outside of that space. Like we would go long term, no good. We would go meet up in shops, like coffee shops, um, cafes, spoken word areas, or other events for other speakers, other social media people, and or to each other house. Crazy thing is we don't get along. So there's, to me, for that reason, there's a lot of involvement in reading birth charts to allow people in your space for example, because there's many reasons you would use one. Um, but it's like, okay, this person, as far as reading the birth chart and the depth of reading one, there's the okay, this person's good to stay at Airbnb with you. And that's probably because with me having the event, me being the hostess, I'm involved in the management of the event, the other guests coming in, ticket holder, not ticket holder because well they hold, but the tickets are free. But anyway, the menu, the items in the kitchen, the food prep, people coming in, visiting and making sure everybody has a place for their items and whatever, making sure everybody's comfortable. So I'm really not involved with those people that will stay in the Airbnb with me for a long period of time because I'm too involved in other parts. So maybe that was a factor. But on a day to day, when I would go to events or meet up with these people, they have my full, mostly undivided attention. It's more one on one. And that's crazy, but it's the way it is in life, huh? They can be with me on the short term, but not the long term. Not too much interacting one on one.
Hmm.
What you say?
No, no, no. I hear what you're saying. Because I mean,
Go ahead.
there's a lot of uses with it that most people use it, and then in most cases, on a basic level, most
Mhm.
people who get into the realm of the whole, using the birth chart. The only thing that they are looking for is their rising sign, their sun sign, and their moon sign, which is they call in layman's term your big three, and that's what most people will go by. But when we start to go into the deeper parts of this realm itself, the sun and moon don't even matter. It's more so that's just basically like your tribal sign type ordeal. But when we're talking about a person's rising sign, this is where the whole destiny swapping actually becomes a realization. That's why I've been for the last 11 years just helping in the suggestion of awareness that in this realm of astrology, if you have a Western or tropical uh, natal chart or just any type of chart or even the system itself, you have automatically signed up for destiny swapping. Automatically.
Say that one more time.
If you
One more.
use Western or tropical systems in this realm of astrology, you have automatically signed up. And those that you do charts for also, you have literally automatically signed up these people and yourself to destiny swapping in real time. Crickets.
Okay, with the crickets. So is it a thing such as signing yourself up for destiny swapping, a way to reverse that, to
Yeah.
be not signed up?
So there's one way that I help. There's two. There's actually three ways. I always have three things. But the
Mm-hmm.
first one is the realization of what I mean by destiny swapping. So when we're born, you got to think about the coordinates of how our chart is set up. They have everybody facing east, and in any type of cultural practices per se, we come in through the east and we exit through the west. So now
Mm-hmm.
think about it. There's the two main systems that's out there. One is called Vedic, and then one is the tropical. So if you think about it, Vedic literally knows who you are. They know your destiny. And because they're in cahoots with Western, because it's dealing with that 12 sign system bullshit, Western understands that and they swap you out automatically. Think about it. Just literally think about it. They automatically swap you out. The Vedic or Eastern system knows who you are when you come into this realm based off of the information. And to put it out there, astrology information like looking up signs and planets, things of that nature, those are all very uh real in a personality characteristic trait type of sense. Because a lot of study and a lot of uh, thousands of years of doing this shit, it comes to be very organized in this particular reality that we're in. But when you start to
Mm-hmm.
look at it from a real conspiracy type of narrative, you have a system that's predominantly considered the East, and you have a system that's considered the West. You have your entry and your exit, but the one that's dealing with the West swaps you out, so those who are in the West can be controlled in a certain narrative and not literally align you to what you're supposed to be doing or what you were given astronomically, if that makes sense. If I'm making any
Mm-hmm.
sense, what I'm really saying is that Eastern knows who you are, or Vedic knows who you are to a degree because they don't use astronomy. They claim to use it, but they really don't.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Western or tropical that also claims to use it, but they put their system on a fixed sign that deals with their calendar. And then if you know anything about me, I've been busting that thing out left and right. But what I'm really getting at is that when you're in this realm of astrology and using these particular tools, because people don't study the whole entire realm, like, you know, how they say, like you have different forms of alchemy, right? There's different forms, but most people only stick to one form of it, knowing that there's
Mm-hmm.
many other versions. If you have not studied any of these other versions, you're going to just automatically sign up for that one and still use it. Then you're going to meet someone who knows different other styles of alchemy, and you're going to be like, oh shit, like, wow, how is that possible? You know what I mean? It's that type of scenery when it comes to this. But what I really getting at is that when you're looking at this particular realm of destiny swapping, the second way to look at it is by one that I always, use for anybody who comes in contact with me. Look at the shape of your hand. Your shape of your hand and your body type, which is AKA your rising sign, has a particular element. There's only four basic elements: fire, earth, air, and water. If you look at your Western chart, rising sign, it's going to tell you, for example, I'm going to use me for example. It's saying like I'm a Taurus rising, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my hand looks like a water hand or air hand or fire hand. So how is it that I have a different element type body than what my rising sign is saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you can literally see that with Western up and down. You can literally see that. People will say like, "Oh, I'm a," like we use you for example.
Mm-hmm.
You have like the whole Cancer rising thing, right? But if you're a
Mm-hmm.
Cancer rising, you should have a water body. But when you look at your palm, you have a fire palm. So how is that possible?
Right.
For me, they in Western astrology they label me as a Gemini rising, but I have an
Mm-hmm.
Earth palm. So how is that possible?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the biggest things that people really don't look into. And like I was saying, if you sign up to this Western astrology and you go by their charts and things of that nature, you have automatically signed up to destiny swapping without you even realizing it.
Mm.
And then when you have
So,
people, and then when you have people who use it to for their own advantage, they don't even know that shit, to be honest. So all they're going by is what their so-called uh, slave master or whatever they want to call it and their system, and they're going to use their system to basically keep people more into the realm of enslavement.
mm-hmm. Okay. So, right quick, I would like for you to share um the sun sign right now. The sun is in what sign, astrological sign right now?
And it just entered the zone that they call Taurus,
Taurus. Mm-hmm.
but people think we're in the halfway point of Taurus or towards the ending of Taurus.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to have you say that out loud.
Hmm.
um, so Now, also, another speaking of this is basically an unsafe practice to use birth charts as a vetting system. It might work on a level, which explains why I can have people at an Airbnb overnight or 2 nights, but outside the Airbnb, we fall apart.
Hmm.
Um, now, I first heard about using birth charts as a system, probably like 2015 ish. And the person was talking about um, the benefits of knowing the astrological signs outside of your own. Because then, for business purposes, you will know how to um, interact with other people as a tool for business projects, business meetings, and other things.
Hmm.
What's your viewpoint on that?
I mean, me myself, I've been using it since what? Shit, you could say for the last 7 years. Like once I really
Mhm.
did my work in it, and I use it
Yeah.
in the form of like more so helping people than anything else. Like they'll tell me about, their Western sign and things of that nature, and mentally, I'm already calculated to what they really are. But then I like to play along with them because I notice now that no matter where a person's at, even if you give them a very tangible proof, they're still going to revert back into what they know, or they'll have cognitive dissonance to that. But in that same sense, it's like when using it to, see who will work with you and things of that nature, that's where it comes to the intricate parts of what they call the housing system. Once
Mhm.
you know a person's rising sign correctly, then you'll understand, if they fit you or not, to be honest.
Yes. Um, Now, you said rising sign
Hmm.
correctly. What do you mean by correctly?
As I was given the example of using your palm.
Mm-hmm.
And if your Western chart is telling you, I was using me for an example, it's telling me that I'm a Gemini rising, meaning that I should have an air body type. An air body
Mm-hmm.
type, hand wise, to show that is a person who has a short palm with long fingers. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have a short palm with long fingers. I have short fingers and short palms. So what type of narrative is that, if that makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so it's like I'm considered an earth palm. So how am I being told I'm a Gemini rising when I have an earth body? So the
Right.
correct version of me is being an earth body. Before I even put a sign on it, I have an earth body. And then in that same realm, they have three signs to each element, if that makes sense.
Right.
So if I'm an earth body, that would mean I can be either a Taurus rising, a Capricorn rising, or a Virgo rising.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where the facial features and things of that nature comes into play. So you can literally see that people themselves are walking, talking, breathing zodiac signs in the flesh. But when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
this realm, since I have an earth body, that will let me know automatically that whatever I'm looking at chart wise is incorrect
Mm-hmm.
automatically.
Okay. Okay.
But most people don't see that because all they know is whatever book that's out there, and they give them
Mm-hmm.
like a little brush up of history. And that history is always talking about, oh well, Aries was founded 2,000 years ago. But if you literally go astronomically 2,000 years ago, in the 2000 BC era, let me say that in the 2000 BC era, which is basically equivalent to us going backwards is 4,000 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
the the sign started in Taurus. And then on top of that, when people start to learn the history about it, there was no such thing as Aries until the 14th century BC era. So how is it that
Okay.
in the 2000 era there's such thing called an Aries, but some odd years, 100 years later, there is a so-called thing called Aries now.
Yeah, that's the modern astrology.
Correct. To fit a narrative that deals with the whole dogma realm and the clock and calendars and et cetera, et cetera.
Yes. Because as we know, there are the ancient versions of the zodiac glyphs, and then there's the modern version, the planets as well.
Hmm.
Planets as well.
And then people got to really understand the difference between, there's a big difference between what is a constellation and what is a zodiac. The zodiac
Mm-hmm.
is the actual symbol, y'all. The zodiac itself is the actual symbol that represents these particular so-called constellations. There are two different things, completely
Mm-hmm.
two different things. Like for example, the reason why Aries is what it is because it's the symbol itself is the mirror reflection of what Pisces looks like in the sky. So when it comes to those who are born as so-called Aries, they're really Pisces because the symbol itself is mirrored off the constellation, and then that's how they basically tricked everybody in that realm. So every
Mm-hmm.
sign that we think, every zodiac sign that we think, if you look into the realm, they even give you the information. They show you when you look up a zodiac sign, they're going to also show you the constellation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to go like in recently, like in March 21st, we understand that it's in Pisces, but they're going to tell you that it's Aries. But if you look at Aries constellation versus Pisces constellation, you're going to start putting two and two together.
Mm-hmm.
And when people who are not knowledgeable about that, like I said, they're basically being unwillingly subjugated to destiny swapping automatically because they do not understand the difference between astronomy and what astrology is actually used for.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Aries and Pisces. Okay. Um. Hmm. Let me see this here. Okay. So we talking about looking at this right here.
Hmm.
Okay.
And if you was to put it, in a horizontal way, you'll
Mm-hmm.
notice that that part right there that you got highlighted gets kind of curved because it's to match that right there, and that's your Aries symbol right there,
Okay.
or zodiac symbol, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
So, and what I'm getting at is that what they're saying to us is that they call Pisces Aries
Mm-hmm.
because that's how they created Aries, if that makes sense. But Aries
Yeah.
was created from Taurus, or created out of Taurus, and there's certain type of glyphs or uh, meta nature or hieroglyphs that shows you when they created Aries,
Mm-hmm.
et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. So then that would explain why in my astrological study, astrological study, um, the Taurus, when it said that the Taurus constellation only holds half of the bull's body,
Hmm.
is because the other portion of the bull's body not being in the sky, because it's not enough room in the sky, they said, is because those other stars are in what they call now Aries.
Correct.
Madness. Liars. Of course, the lab coats, they're liars. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And then some of the Aries stars are with Pisces also. Okay. All right. So For more on that, y'all can always go through my playlist. There's an astrological resurgence playlist. Check it out. It's a series with myself, Ramutef and El Moore, the Universal Humanitarian. And then of course I do have other astrological my other astrological playlist has more of this information of the Taurus and the other constellations. Um, Ramatef Queb, were you going to say any more on this right now? Or are we moving forward?
Well, no, it's just just helping people with like the understanding. Like when you're in,
Mm-hmm.
when you're looking into this, like that is like a true way of looking at what they call destiny swapping. There's another form of destiny swapping. It's like the stars are the stars. The way that we make constellations and things that nature is making pictures out of those um, certain type of codes that are placed in the sky that we consider stars and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
From that, just using the Pisces narrative, it's like people don't understand that even since 1582, and that's one big thing I always put out. Since 1582, since the Gregorian calendar was created, and that's the calendar that we use today for astrology, et cetera, et cetera. And
Mm-hmm.
even them astronomically will show you that the spring equinox or the first sign of that time frame was in Pisces, and they went ahead and swapped out Pisces for Aries. So since 1582 till now,
Mm-hmm.
everybody has been subjugated into destiny swapped in whatever, whether they like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And that was done in a sense purposely due to the takeover that happened since the 1600 AD era. Even though there's more stuff that happened before that, but when it really started kicking off, when it comes to a lot of people's unfortunate demise of their culture, everybody basically got subjugated basically in the 1600 era until now.
Okay. Mm.
So there's people being born today who luckily, were born on this whole March 21st. And as they grow
Mm-hmm.
up, they're going to be taught to become Aries when in the sky themselves, they were destined to be Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
And that's even just using it in a modern sense. You have these
Right.
people who are literally these kids, or even adults, who are literally, we're training our kids to be something that they're not. We're taking away
Mm-hmm.
what they're supposed to be because, oh, the Gregorian said it says this, or astrology says this. Well, I was born under this month, under this day, so I'm considered that. But
Right.
astronomically, you were born to be something completely different than what they are giving you. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I say that people since since day one, we all been subjugated into the form of destiny swapping. And then we get into the level we start finding out about Vedic, and then that's when people find out like, oh wow, I'm supposed to be this sign under there, and then they're not taking it serious because even in Vedic, it's a little bit more truthful than Western. It's just that they don't use the whole entire constellation. That's the only big thing I have with Vedic. Vedic is more geared to now or the now settings, which is the spring equinoxes in Pisces. But also, this is the other part about the destiny swapping is that there's two springs. We have people who live in the so-called southern hemisphere, and their spring begins in September.
Mm-hmm.
And then another form of destiny swapping, if you go to the South African calendar or the Alkebalon calendar, as they would call it, the so-called Kemetic calendar, they got people believing that they're Aries during the time of Virgo. Make that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
For them to consider themselves a Kemetic society and things of that nature, and we're going by our ancestors' way, but you're going to use a term called Aries, and again, Aries didn't come into being until the 14th century BC era. So how the fuck is that considered a Kemetic version when it never existed into the? Let me stop.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Karmic Dynasty unscripted. Go ahead and say that. Shoot. Um.
So
So
they got it worse, is what I'm saying. These people in the southern
yeah.
hemisphere got it worse because these people who are born in their springtime, they got them
Mhm.
believing that they're Aries, but they're really Virgos. Astronomically, they're really Virgos. Make it make sense, y'all. And then in the western, we don't even equate for the southern hemisphere as spring. We just call it fall, which is and it's right. But at the same time, they'll tell these people who are supposed to be Virgos, they'll call them Libras. The whole bunch is destiny swapping, y'all. A whole bunch. And then you got people who are using it maliciously and they don't even know. And if they do know, shame on them. But 9 times out of 10, they don't even fucking know. They're just going by what they know on a basic level or considered basic level or traditional
Mhm.
and using that to continuously fuel this demise to our people that's been basically just given a time frame, 1582, when the Gregorian calendar was founded. I mean,
Mhm.
so if you do the math from 1582 to so-called 2026, and you do the math, everybody's ancestors in that time frame have been living the wrong life for a very, 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 very long time.
Mm. Indeed.
And you see how why people are so conditioned when people like myself or anybody else will be like, "Hey, use true sidereal or use this or use the actual Kemetic system and not this bullshit that they've been giving people." And then there is a modern version of the Kemetic thing, which is in a sense
Mhm.
okay, but at the same time we're doing it astronomically, not this whole seasonal bullshit that they've been giving people.
Mhm. Okay. So to use myself as an example, I will put myself out there. I'm out there actually. Y'all go through the videos, you see it in the happening. um, Ramutef Club, would you, with all of your time of knowing me, share your observation, feedback on my reverse destiny swapping, um, coming into our relationship type, social media type, use my guide, astrological guide, um, and how when we met, I was all Sagittarius. And then you came on the platform and you were sharing my birth chart and my Scorpio revelation. Um, talk about the differences in me as a Sagittarius, and then as I progressed away from it and into my Scorpio self, and the differences in my, if any, in my characteristics, personalities, in
Hmm.
regards to how the average Western astrology birth chart reading would say I should have been as a Sagittarius versus what I was missing out on being a Sagittarius for about 40 years, 45 years, 40 years, and
Hmm.
catching up on my Scorpio side.
Hmm. Well, it's just as simple as like I was giving the example of the rising sign part, because a lot of people don't realize like your actual sign that you are is your rising sign. Your sun sign and your moon sign are more like tribal markers more than anything. Like your personality and characteristics all stem from your rising sign, not your sun and moon. But the way the astrology has set things up, they have people believing that their sun and moon is those personality and characteristics more so than your actual body or the organism that our bodies is, if that makes sense. But as far as like from where you came from to where you are today, the weird thing about it is that when people come into the realization of their real sign, if they really sit back with themselves, they've been that sign this whole time. They just been, you know, deceived by the characteristics of Sagittarius. Like for your example, yours is Sagittarius in Western. But this whole time you've been moving, operating like a sun sign Scorpio for all of those 40 plus years that you were realizing that you well not realize, but you knowing to be a Sagittarius. That's the cool thing about when you start to really look into it. Like when people talk about the sun sign thing, like Sagittarius, it's more of like a conversation starter. But when they start to really know you and things of that nature, if you were to put you and a real Sagittarius and you next to each other, you do not fit the bill whatsoever, at all, at all.
Yeah, and for me, that was definitely a thank you moment. When you told me that back in the day, because I'm 52 now, but back in the day, when I found out I was in my 40s, and I was like, okay, thank you, because I can't stand them Sagittarius. They get I can't. Um, and then like for example, I have two siblings and they're both Scorpio. And I can't and at first I was like, oh, I don't want to be a Scorpio because I can't stand them neither. And but then, with progress and more conversation, you gently let me know, well, your siblings aren't Scorpios. They're
But and
but
technically,
technically.
they're not. But
Right.
technically, if we go by ancient times, they really are. Well, I think one of them's I think one of them was a Virgo, or two of them, maybe both of them are Virgo. I don't know, but
They
if
both
they're in
are.
that, yeah, there you go. So, but if they were born in that Libra zone, there's no such thing as Libra because we all know if you go to the broadcast, you already explained that there's no such thing as Libra because Libra is basically Scorpio.
Claw of Scorpio. Scorpio has one claw now. One claw. Huh. Either way, I'm glad because both sides of me, I can't stand them. I can't stand them people on them signs.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And it's just like and then the development of yourself and just coming into knowing. It's more so like I've been helping people really get down to it. It's like you gotta, if we really gonna get into this realm of astrology, we gotta first start with the basic, and the basic is looking at your base model, and that is the best way to look at it is looking at your palm, looking at your whole entire palm and your fingers. From there, you have a particular element, and they have that described to the T. If you are like a
Mm-hmm.
fire, this is the type you are. If you're air, you're this. You're earth, you're this. You're water, you're this. That is very true. Now, the other additive parts is the second stage, which is your so-called zodiac sign or your constellation that you were born to look like. Then
Mm-hmm.
you have that attribute to it. So, like for example, with you being in Western, being considered a Cancer rising, but you still
Mm-hmm.
have a fire palm. So, how is
Mm-hmm.
that possible? Well, ladies and gentlemen, in that same particular realm, guess what? There's no such thing as Cancer because that's part of Leo as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, in Western ideology, they had you as a Leo rising. So that part may be true, but they said your sun sign, your moon sign is Aries and a Sagittarius.
Mm-hmm.
But if we do it astronomically, yes, the constellation that's considered your rising sign is actually Gemini to a degree. But that's the if we use the technical term, rising sign, meaning that whatever constellation is in the sky, that's considered the rising sign. So you would technically be a Gemini rising, but again, you have a fire palm. So how is that possible?
Mm.
When
All
you
I
look at
know
the
is
description, you see how it says air and it says Gemini, blah 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 blah. And we go to the water, you see Cancer, but your palm matches the Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius category,
yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. But now that's just just putting it out there, like just for those who are listening. If you really get what I'm saying, you got to start from the we really got to start from the basics, and the best way to start from the basics is looking at your palm, then looking at your facial structure, Then you'll start to understand, like, oh, I'm this element body with this zodiac face, and then the rest should be easy to comprehend when it comes to actually finding your actual real chart.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part about destiny swapping, let's go deeply. So we
Let's
all
go.
understand the whole system called house system, and we know that the house system goes counterclockwise. But in all actuality, in this realm of astrology, it's supposed to go clockwise and not counterclockwise. So your 12th house is actually your first house. Because we're supposed to go with the flow of time, not going against it. And that's another way of, again, in this realm of destiny swapping, we've been going against our destiny for so long. But it's good to learn as the basics. But when you start to use it in a very more practical use, you'll understand that the whole housing system is actually flipped as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what people think is their first house is actually their 12th house. Because how
Mm-hmm.
can something that's in the rising considered the 12th and it's considered the spiritual zone or the hidden zone when that's where the sun rises every day or any other planet rises in that sector if you're on the northern hemisphere? It always rises in the east, if that makes sense. So how is that considered hidden when that is the start of the day? What's hidden is your actual first house. That's your actual spiritual house for those who are listening. Like again,
Yeah.
this whole realm of astrology is all about destiny swapping, and I'm just helping people with the understanding that it's completely the whole system has completely tricked you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the reason why the housing system is going counterclockwise because the housing system astronomically is built around the southern hemisphere.
Mhm.
So our signs in the northern hemisphere go clockwise, where our houses go counterclockwise. The counterclockwise motion is from the southern hemisphere's motion when it comes to the whole season thing. Now, when it comes to clockwise, that's us watching the sun go from east to south to west to north. And it's like
Yeah.
your AC is your east, your MC is your the south, the DC is the west, and the IC is the north. Most people don't know that either.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know that our sun flows to the south. For one, they don't even know that part. But we have people out here who basically, take advantage of a lot of us who are very unknowledgeable in this realm, and they use it to their advantage to create certain type of, and I'm using the word loosely, but cults.
Mm-hmm. Which brings us to primarily the reason we're here. Because of a cult. Nature Boy Eligio Bishop Carbonation. Um, and right quick, in this so-called cult, because people keep using this cult word in a derogatory manner to me, and it bothers my nerves. Um, but cult is short for culture, and we all have a culture. And if people look into the Wikipedia of cults, and they'll see the biggest cult is in the religious realm, like the church. Seriously. Um, but either way, in my karmic dynasty cult, I definitely use this system. It adjusts and it alters, of course, it changes with my knowledge, but I definitely use it as a guide to weed the people out if necessary.
Hmm.
And that's my piece on that cult stuff. Uh hmm, interesting. So peace to you, peace to you, King Adonis in here. Um, if you like an invite, I'm gonna send you an invite up here in case you want to come, King Adonis. I know you have a busy schedule, but if you happen to have a moment on this day, you want to come up here, you can. Let's see. So, right quick, Ramutef, because you have mentioned the so-called Southern Hemisphere. Um, and then the constellations there are different than the ones here. And
Yeah,
then,
visually they
yeah,
are.
visually they are. There's different names of constellations there that the people up here, in general speaking, don't even know exist. And then how here they say there the constellations are flipped, they're upside down. But actually, technically, it's up here in the so-called northern hemisphere that they're upside down.
Mm-hmm. Because they even tell you themselves when it comes to the whole magnetic stuff, they know that the so-called magnetic north is the actual south, and vice versa. But the way that we are, getting directions, they flipped it, even though they tell you themselves that, the southern hemisphere is the actual north, and vice
Mm-hmm.
versa. But because we
Mm-hmm.
have this thing called compasses, it goes reverse that. And I just tell people look it up and look it up yourself. You'll see. And then when you look
We'll
at
talk
how the
about it.
sun flows and things of that nature, if you look at both hemispheres, if you were to be in that certain hemisphere and you know the whole cardinal point thing,
Mm-hmm.
you will see if you're in the southern hemisphere that the sun will go from east to north to west. Where if you're in the southern or if you're in the northern hemisphere where we're at, you'll notice that cardinal point wise, the sun will go east,
Mm-hmm.
south, then west. We'll always keep doing that. But if we were considered the real north, the sun should be flowing there, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't.
Um, Happy birthday, Mom. Honored, love and honor. Yeah, my mom's birthday was May 2nd. So it's the May mom's birthday month. Of
Mm,
course, of course. Um, yeah, this is a topic that is ongoing. Definitely a lot of questions. A lot of it for me is flowing. It's like everyday conversation now. I could follow it, of course. Way better. Check out them old videos than when I first was listening to Ramutef Webb up here on the panel. I'm like, hold up, you said what? Do I need to kick you out of my studio? But these days it's like, I got you. It flowed so well. And I'm saying that for the people who are like, what did he say? Can he repeat that? That one time she say repeat that one more time again on this what he just said. Y'all can contact him on TikTok. He said at Ramutef Queb and Facebook at Ramutef Queb. You could also contact him on Instagram Ramutef underscore Queb with those questions. Y'all go and pay them consultation fees. Don't play with him because I will come see you. Don't even play with him. Ain't no negotiating the consultation fees. Okay, y'all? Don't be disrespectful. What else we got going on today, Ramutef Quib?
So I mean, for the most part, it's just it's just the realization of what is from that destiny swapping. Because like most people who think destiny swapping is more so like, oh yeah, these people can do juju and blah 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 blah, and not realizing that the juju was done before you even came into this room.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the
Mm-hmm.
just realization. Like if you really going to use this realm of astrology, that my best suggested advice is to make sure you know your astronomical setup, then put your housing system together on top of that, and that is the chart that you want to use. And
Mm,
in a basic form, like what is used on social media, things that not even social media, but on the internet,
mm,
your best bet in that realm is there's a certain type of code, and I call it a code because it's basically, in a particular system, there are certain type of settings that you must uh, put in the system for it to be its actual true form. Because everything's always there, you just got to find the code to do it. So, and the majority of all the apps that we use and things of that nature, yes, it's all built off of the 12 house system and the 12 signs, et cetera, which is fine and dandy. There are sites where you can go to where it gives you the 13 sign aspects, et cetera, et cetera. But the biggest thing that you want to take away from the settings is make sure that you will set your charting to the settings called Lahiria, or it's called Fragan Bradley. That's like a quicker way to figure it out. And then for your housing system, you don't want to use Placidus. You don't want to use anything else but equal house.
mm-hmm.
So it's
Equal
like
house.
sidereal settings. What you're doing is giving yourself a sidereal settings, which is basically putting the constellations in a more realistic version of seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And then an equal house system is so people can understand the degrees of each house that each so-called constellation sits in. Because you're going to start to notice that you're going to have more constellations in one house and certain other constellations just taking up one whole house. But that's when you go into the 13th sign, and there's a website called Mastering the Zodiac that I help promote because that's the only um, site that I know besides astroapp.com that gives you this style of using real astrology.
Okay. And it was in my search history, so I've used this before. Oh, I was doing the constellations in the sky
Hmm.
activities for my what is it? I had an astrological tea, sip of tea, astrological tea series in here. Look through my playlist, it's in there. And it was the beginnings of studying astrology, like the definitions of the what birth chart is, the definitions of what's a rising sign, most of which Ramutef is covered on today. And also, for me, instead of just looking at my birth chart, I actually drew mine out. So I went by step with people on how to draw theirs, and
Hmm.
we did those and other activities on there. But yeah, okay, this is a cool website. Real.
Yeah, it's one site that like I personally for from a professional standpoint I use astroapp.com, but I
It's called
also
what?
astroapp.com. But this one is like the more of the free version. Like you can like look into it, and they won't give you like descriptions unless you do like get the tester one, and they'll just tell you your big three, and then you can book from any of the individuals who are a part of that organization, and they're very cool people. I can honestly say that. But when it comes to just like doing it on your own, when you got the basics, using this site is the only site that I would recommend for people to really get into it. But if you want to do it professionally wise, you can use the True Sidereal and sign up for that, or
Mhm.
you go to astroapp.com, and then there's a whole plethora of different styles that's in there, and in there itself they will have the real way of looking at the 13 sign constellation wise of the charting.
Yeah, I wasn't aware. I'm gonna look into this astroapp.com myself.
I want to say I used it on your platform a couple times. I want to say I have.
You was probably doing screen share.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, so you had control of that website. And then I probably just tuned in. I wasn't aware of which website you were on. But yeah,
Mm.
I'm definitely gonna be using it.
Yeah, this is a very nice professional wise. If you're going to do it professionally, this is a site that I always recommend for those who are actually want to take it into professional standards. And
Hmm.
they give you the options to use their whole Western systems and all the other type of systems. But if you really want to do your due diligence in this realm, I would recommend getting the one package that allows you the 13 sign. And there's a certain settings that you got to set up in that as well, because again, in this realm, to do it very professionally, you got to know all the settings so it can match our actual reality. All the other ones don't do that at all. Now, the true sidereal one, the true sky one, the master and the zodiac, that one does it, but they also do this thing called midpointing, and I understand why they do that, but at the same time, it's still the closest that we can get to as far as dealing with the real deal astrology. Now,
Hmm.
if you go on a professional level, then this website itself is where you want to go to really like up your game when it comes to really helping the people in this realm professionally. And I don't want to say like
Hmm.
myself, but like myself, if that makes sense.
Okay. Mhm.
Because you
There's
can go on.
always a wealth of information. I'm listening.
Oh yeah, it's like I want to say because in the short form, it's like I've been gatekeeping, but I really never have. I've been telling I've been telling people what I use from day one, but that's up to
Hmm.
them if they actually start to actually use it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But in that realm, oh, this person is gatekeeping. No, I ain't never gatekeep. The only thing I did,
Exactly.
the only thing I can't say I gatekeep is that I've been putting people in a position where I think they realize the things, but they really don't. So I just be playing around.
Hmm.
Like I'm gonna do is
Mm.
play into your world instead of actually. It's just you don't want to deal with reality. Like it's all good.
Yeah. And for those who like the reality, for me, the one of the best um channels to reach Ramutef Club for interaction would be TikTok. Because then you can like go up on the request to be a guest and then speak with him one on one. Um, and then that helps because there, of course, is maybe somebody out there like you somewhere down the timeline, and your voice will be heard. Somebody else can hear it, and then they'll share that information. And but yeah, there's definitely a lot of information on the TikTok. I like the TikTok channel myself, and the engagements there. There's a lot of bringing the people together over there on his TikTok channel. That's what I gotta say.
Mm. I appreciate it.
It's real. It's real. So we were here today discussing Nature Boy's use of birth charts to allow people into his space. And this is following up the Hulu docu-series. It's 4 parts, and I have been requested to come up here and review the docu-series. So that's what I'm here doing in 4 parts and breaking it down. And you could join us next Wednesday. I know I'll be here, and I don't know who else will be here, but I'll be here next 10 p.m. When is it? Yeah, 10 p.m. next Wednesday. Tuesday. Yeah, May 19th, 10 p.m. I'll be here. And I'll be speaking about NatureBoy Recruiting and the parallels of the NOI, Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And then I'll be done with this series and moving forward with the topic that I actually thought I'd be returning to my channel after 2 years. I'll be on that topic. And it's a series, and it'll probably be, I anticipate maybe a 2 or 3 month series. So that'll be ongoing, as well as I'll be here with other topics ongoing, in and out, multitasking topics. So getting back comfortable on the channel. I'm right now just getting back in and comfortable with this one topic right now, Nature Boy Cult series on Disney Hulu. Y'all go check it out. Ramutef Pleb, anything else you'd like to discuss before we wrap up this live broadcast?
No, I do not. I appreciate you.
That's what's up. I appreciate you being here. Um, Now, right quick, speaking of upcoming and ongoing, and Ramutep at this point may have something to say. We about to switch gears right quick. Everyone will see a lot of what's behind me, behind us, the background. I will be sharing this, and there's some marketing campaigns about to take place. We have some events, such as what you would may call a Comic Con happening. Those will be coming up in the near future. This art here is Ramutef's, what is it? Concepts. I don't know how he wanted put out there, but you'll soon be seeing that in my background here. And another, maybe a mug I'll be sipping from, this arts here. Ramutef, you want to give us a brief on this?
I'll do that next time.
Next time. All right, so next time he is here, he will touch on this art behind us and his pursuit to get that published and out there for the public. I appreciate you all being here. At this time, I'm gonna ask Ramutef for his closing remarks, and then we about to get out of here, and then I'll do mine. Vice versa, switch swap. I think maybe he did his closing. He also is very busy. I'm glad he's here today. I basically did my closing. I don't have no more to say. Ramutef has been here. He done said his closing. So we about to be out this piece. Okay, y'all? Okay. Oh, somebody gonna get me. Comment. I appreciate the comments in the video. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel, please. And I appreciate you. Karmic Dynasty. I'm glad y'all are here. Goodbye. Goodbye.
It's us versus them. Who you think gon' win?